Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Cohesion Through Chaos. I am Dale, and we are here outside again today because even though it was like getting colder by the minute and it's probably going to rain, I'm trying to take advantage of it for as much as I can because it just feels so much more open and freeing to do my videos outside. Though I feel like I don't want to talk too loud because I don't want to get into everybody's ear space. Okay. But as I was saying, it feels more freeing. That is the content of today's video because something has happened recently. Um, Hang on. Okay. It's not just one thing that has happened recently. It's that recently I started listening to Rage Against the Machine again, and I heard something in the song called Freedom that I had never heard before, or even if I did, it just kind of like passed over. And that's part of the like problem and solution to music is that if you don't like it, if it doesn't vibe with you somehow, then you pass over it. Or if you do like it, sometimes you're not integrating what the words are saying and you're not thinking about it as some words that somebody developed from in a space that they were probably in isolation, because by the time you get to hear the song and hear the words and sing along with it, they are in front of a public crowd and everybody is singing along, especially with Rage Against the Machine. Everybody's just like moshing along, and that's how it was, right? But you felt you feel the power of that music. But you do not feel what Zach was feeling inside as he was writing down those lyrics. So I am really intent on creating something of like a documented history based on all the songs from Rage Against the Machine. And today I am starting out with the song Freedom. So I did go through, I looked up the lyrics on multiple different websites just to see if they were consistent and what the difference was. And I do not want to look up other people's meanings for it. Like, what do you think the meaning of the song is? It's like Zach wrote what the meaning is. The beauty of art and performance and poetry and things like that is that it's supposed to inspire critical thinking. What does it make you think of? Okay. Because then whatever it makes you think about when you first hear it or the feelings that you feel, as soon as you go and look up somebody else's meaning of it, you're like, oh, I was wrong on that thing. It's like, that's why we don't want to raise our hands and speak, because instead of seeming dumb in front of a group of people and expressing how we metabolize information and what it means to us, what is the word for not speaking? Somebody who can't speak, right? Somebody who can't see is blind. Um, Somebody who can't hear is deaf. What is the word for not being able to speak? It is dumb. Okay. So we are made to feel dumb in the sense of what we think that word is, which is like not as smart as other people when we open up our mouth and it's not the same interpretation of what the right answer is supposed to be. Okay. But what dumb actually is not speaking up. Okay. So for you to not talk about what is going on in your life and for other people to speak for you to wait to say how you feel about things because it might not be in alignment with others, you're being dumb and they programmed you to be that way. Okay. So this song Freedom, it's like it inspired me so much that I want to form a Rage Against the Machine cover band called Lady of Rage Against the Machine because I am a lady, but that originally comes from Lady of Rage, who was a crazy good rapper on Death Row Records, which is Dr. Dre. And like Dr. Dre, I always saw him as a street poet, right? He was telling modern day stories, which is now like modern history about the LA riots and things like that that were going on. But if people rejected the music because it was like scary. Dr. Dre was somebody that they didn't understand from a place that they didn't understand. Then they were missing out on the content of the music. And like looking back, I think people just kind of group wrap into this thing of like, oh, it's just a cultural thing that if you're not a part of that culture, then it's all the same to you, that you can't discern the difference. But for me, it was like Dr. Dre who spoke loudest to me when I was a kid. And this was what the Chronic came out in like 92, 91, 93. I can't remember, but it was right around the same time. Rage Against the Machine formed up in 1991, and they were coming from the West Coast too. So again, this is like a cover band that I want to form where I am retelling their stories because now I have lived through the life of what Zach was kind of like yelling and warning about how the groups that get used for the work of the powerful, right? The people who are in seats of power, they like build They build countries off the backs and off the bloodshed of the people who are just trying to serve their country because they are trying to serve their people. They are trying to be selfless service, right? I was in the army, and the army has uh what do you call it when it's like words that form somewhat of a word to help you remember things? Hang on one second. Let me see if I can figure out what that is. Okay. I had to write down, it's called an acronym. Okay. I didn't have to look it up, but I did have to write down what it was that the acronym was, because we used to wear it on our dog tags. We had one dog tag that had our information on it. Then we had another dog tag that had this acronym, and then it had like the 3 rules of being a soldier, or whatever it is. I can't remember. I don't have my dog tags anymore. I don't have anything of my military service anymore because my house flooded, and so it was all removed from my life. Okay. The acronym is leadership, but it's spelled LDRSHIP. Okay, so it's not the full word leadership, but L stands for loyalty, D stands for duty, R respect, S selfless service, H honesty, I integrity, P personal courage. Okay, so that is what we were trained to serve by. Okay, that was our like oath, that was our code of conduct. All right, that is what. Do you think that the people who we are serving under, practice that same code of morality? I just don't think they do. So they call upon people who live on these standards to do the work of the dirty, okay, of the people who don't want to get their hands dirty, right? Like these politicians who don't have sons or daughters in the military fighting these wars that they are encouraging funding for. Okay, so not only that, it's like every governmental service that I have relied upon to do their part because I did my part for them, and they say that they're out there for these purposes. It's just been a stack of, it's like a shit sandwich, okay? It's not right. And I get it. It's because it's my personal story, but in my personal story, I know a lot of things that other people have gone through. It's just that I don't know anybody else who has gone through the entirety of what I have gone through without a break anywhere in between, without a break of where things get a little bit easier. If they get a little bit easier, it's just for a moment, and then all that is taken away and I get dropped down lower than where I was before. Okay. And so I can't stand like checking all the boxes on any type of forms that you have to do, because I really want to know, why is it always like one of the first questions is, are you like Mexican or of Mexican descent? It's like yes or no. It's like, why is that the first question? Why is that so important? Can anybody explain that to me? Because I really don't understand it. I don't understand it. I don't overstand it. So I need to know why. But also, when they check the box and ask me to like identify who I am, it's like I get so confused, because if they want me to identify as like white or Caucasian, I don't identify as those things, because first of all, I don't know what white is. I think of it as more of a culture. It's like a mindset than a thing, because there was never white people. They were like Europeans who came from places where they were not allowed to like practice their religion, or they couldn't thrive and survive because of dictators that were like starving out their people, like Italian Sicilians. That is what I am. I like am from Italian lineage, right? Italian American, but that doesn't really mean anything. When people are going back and they want to look up their ancestry, but they want to do it through like 23andMe, when they want to look through the DNA, it's like I have lived in so many different, like 15 or 16 different places, but that doesn't mean that my DNA is going to show that. So what you're looking for is the path of your people. You're looking for what you connect with, because I don't know what to connect with. I know what I'm connected to on my inside, but I know that on my outside, I am not welcomed into every group because I don't look like I belong there. Though I must say that like all of my Mexican friends say that I would make a good Mexican. And sometimes like strangers who I know are Mexican, they come up and speak to me in Spanish. They just assume that I can speak it back, right? And usually I can understand them, but I can't speak it back. I'm gonna have to pause it because there's a train going by. Okay, I'm not even totally sure where I left off because that train was so freaking long. Okay. And yeah, I'm smoking a cigarette. Like, do I even have the freedom to do that on camera? It's like, what freedoms do we have? And you guys gotta like, you gotta tap into this. All right. Um, so what I want to do is I just want to, first of all, the Rage Against the Machine. they were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And so I want to, oh, there's a huge fuzzy bee. Can you see it? Okay. I want to read you some of the stuff that they have on their website when they were inducted. Um, they wanted, okay, so a band who was well known for our albums as we are for our fierce opposition to the US war machine, white supremacy, and exploitation. They shut down the stock exchange on 4/22 of 99. Okay, that was in, if you don't know the background, the benefit of having so much online right now is that I get to learn all kinds of stuff that I never knew before because you're only watching what was on MTV, right? Or like the news. Okay, so you need to go and watch the video for Bulls on Parade. It was directed by Michael Moore. Okay, so that's why you see him in the video. But I want you to take note that there is a man standing in the crowd holding up a sign that says Trump for President 2000. Okay, so that was 16 years before he actually ran for president. So that's what manifestation looks like. Okay, if there's like I'm just telling you, or like how people tell the future, right? Like The Simpsons has been proven to do that. It's like if the idea is created out there somewhere in the ether that shows up in the world, then you've created the possibility for it to happen. All right. So I want you to know that we just passed the 27th. No, 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 no. If it's 2025 right now, and this happened in 99, it's the 26th anniversary because April 22nd just passed. But if you look, the way that I identified that date was because it shows on the New York Stock Exchange, like inside of it, they show the date. Okay. So, the, oh, okay. Oh, but I did want to get back to, I was talking about like the culture of white. And like they're talking about white supremacy. White supremacy came around like I'm pretty sure the whole civil rights movement was because of white supremacy. Okay. So it wasn't about like all these, what people who look like they're white. It was about all the people who like wanted to show who had the power. And they were doing it in the name of like Christianity. They were burning crosses, right? These are, here comes another train. Okay, every time I pause, I have so many thoughts that come into my mind, but I wanted to talk about the concept of like, I don't like checking the box for white. I don't like checking the box for Caucasian because do you know where that term comes from? It's like I was introduced to that term. Well, I was in the army and I mean, I wasn't introduced to the term. I was introduced to the origination of the term when I was in the army and we were preparing for deployment and people could volunteer. Well, people were chosen to learn Arabic for like 10 months before we went on this deployment to help as translators and things like that. So I was really pushing to get into that class and I got in. And I read energy. I don't read like I don't listen to what people are saying. I just can't. I get too distracted. And like everybody calls that ADHD or ADD or whatever. And it's like, that's not what that is. That's not what that is. It's that people who are described as having ADHD or describe themselves that way, it's that they see the truth and they see the most important things worth talking about. So as their mind pivots, like this is what you'll see a lot in my videos. It's because I have learned so much that as my mind pivots, it wants to go in the direction of that thing. And then sometimes it intersects with the point that I was originally talking about. So, um, so my friend who like explained this, I knew that he was the smartest person in the classroom because I vibe on people's energy and I could just tell like he's kind of scary, like he's kind of intimidating and because he's so full of knowledge and proof that what he says is correct and like nobody can step to that, right? Because he I he had been like deployed multiple times. He had been in way longer than I had been in. He was Mexican American. He got dropped in rank for some stupid reason, but he would spend all kinds of time reading all the Army field manuals and all the Army doctrine of what is right and what is wrong. And that's why I joined the Army. That's one of the many reasons I joined was because they had exact rules on what to follow in order to be a proper soldier. But the reason why I couldn't, because I should be retiring from the Army this year. Like that was my intent was to go and do something for 20 years, then I could retire, but something that would keep me occupied because I get bored so easily because everybody's lying out in this world and things get boring. And so I thought like, okay, I could travel a lot. I could learn a lot about the world. I could learn about the government from the inside. There was just so much that I wanted to give up my freedoms of being like having American freedoms because I didn't know how to use them properly. I would rather like go into this path of because I was going to school for teaching and they asked me to leave because my car flooded and the teacher didn't want to make up the missed time for me. I'm like, that was nowhere in the rule books of like signing up for college that you could just tell me because you don't want to make up the missed time with me that all of the work that I had done to complete this program went to waste and then I just had to pay it all back. Like what's up with that? Shouldn't there be some sort of warranty on that that if I can't complete my studies but I've been doing all the right things that I don't have to pay it back, right? It was like by the time I got out I owed like $14,000 back, but I had a $20,000 enlistment bonus that then got taken from me because I've spoken about it on my other channel and it's going to go way too off course. So, um all right. Rage Against the Machine. Oh, okay. Let me tell you about the story of like where Caucasian came from. I believe that it's a term um that originates from like the Caucasus Mountain region because there were like I don't know. I'm gonna have to go and look up some factual information about it, but I believe it was that um they determined they found some skulls or something like that. And they determined that the skulls found in this region were like of the most beautiful bone structure. And so therefore they kind of like named white people off after this bone structure of Caucasians. Okay. So I'll have to look that up. But I have no relation to that. I have no idea what that even means. That's the type of shit that's like imperialistic thoughts that we just like repeat the words that they give to us and we have no idea what we are agreeing to by spouting off these words or saying that we are that thing. So I don't fit in anywhere, okay? I do not fit in anywhere. And it has been made apparently clear to me because I have asked for help. I've reached out to the internet to ask for help because like the government has dropped everything that I asked them for because they said that they offered it, right? So, okay. Anyway, so Rage Against the Machine sued the US State Department for their fascist practice of using rage music to torture innocent men in Guantanamo Bay. Did you know that the government was using Rage Against the Machine music to torture people at Gitmo? Did you know that? I did not know that. Okay. They funded and organized delegations to stand with Mexican rebel Zapatista communities to expose the Mexican government's war on indigenous people. And so Zach is like part Mexican, right? He says he's a Chicano. So if you don't know what that is, it's like a Mexican American. But he's not only raging against the American government, he's raging against the Mexican government too. Right? They fused punk, rock, and hip hop to form their own sound, like a new genre of music. Um, and then like they were giving their thanks to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for recognizing all of the things that they have done, because whether or not the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame knows all of those things and those are the specific reasons that they inducted them, it doesn't matter. The induction means that it's a support of all of these different things. And then it's signed Brad, Tim, Tom, and Zach. And as you know, Tom is like the spokesperson for the band. But Zach was the one who wrote all the lyrics, as far as I know, because he like wrote them for people and things. So that's why I want to go through history as seen through Zach's eyes, and I am going to try to dig up the information so I can metabolize it and see what I pull from it and what I learn from it. Because I think so. The significance of like why I had mentioned about how they sign their names is because Zach comes last, and it's like because if if you're familiar with him, he's not the front man who's always going out to fight. I think everybody thinks of him as a rebel. And I think the reason why they sign it this way is just because it's in alphabetical order. Okay, so Brad is the drummer, Tim is the bassist, Tom is the guitar player, and Zach is the vocalist, right? So all right. Let me pause. Okay, I get so distracted every time I have to pause this, but I paused it. And a phone call had come in from my son's high school, and it was involving this is what I need you to do to help this world out, okay? I have been my oldest son, he is 18 years old and he has Down syndrome. Okay, so he is in a special needs class, but he's very high functioning and he's very athletic. But he's like all people, when they get an idea of something good that they want to do for themselves, he kind of like backs out, or he won't tell me the truth about it or something like that. And then he misses out on these opportunities. And as a parent, I am an advocate for my children's best experience while I still have control over them, where I can advocate for them. And so he played unified basketball one year where there is a team of all the kids from the special needs classroom, and they are linked up with students that participate in like basketball themselves, or they're just student helpers for these athletes. And it is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen, though it's a little annoying to see like Special Olympics and things like that, because it's like we're still pitting them against each other and saying like you're the winner and you're the loser and things like that. So I have a little bit of, like a mixed bag of feelings about it. But anyway, he went without joining basketball last year, but I think he was in it the year before. And so I told him, I'm not going to let you do that this year. Like, you need to remember what it feels like to have people cheering for you for something that you do well. Okay. You get to go out there and you just get to express yourself in your own nature and your own abilities. And then you get people excited. Like my other son, he was just in the musical Les Miserables, and it was the first time he went out for a musical, and he got assigned the part of Enjolras, which is the leader of the French Revolution, like the French Rebellion. Okay. And I was like, holy shit. Like, I feel so honored that my child got to do that, because it's a reflection of who I am inside and what I am trying to do. I am trying to lead a rebellion for our people who are like drowning under the powerful. Okay. It's not fair. It's not fair anymore. And so I am doing everything in my power. So my son had told me, um, he lies a little bit in order for him to not get in trouble himself. So he had told me that tryouts were yesterday. Okay. So I let him, he takes the cell phone to school to let me know when to pick him up. And then, like, he couldn't get into the cell phone because he didn't know how to get in through the passcode. So he couldn't communicate with me. So then somebody finally calls me from the school at 3 p.m. That's like 1500. And they say, hey, I'm here with Tyler. And he said that, you know, that he was going to try out for basketball today, but we've already been having practices. We have like this is like our fourth practice, and there are no tryouts for unified basketball. You just get in, but you have to like fill out the paperwork to get them in. And so I was like, oh, but she was calling to say he says he wants to walk home. Can he do that? And I'm like, no, he cannot do that, right? Because he could, he's capable of it, but I'm not allowing that. So I go to pick him up. But I was saying, so like, is there even a possibility of him getting in for the season? And she said, well, you could try to call the athletic department. And like, that's where she left it off. And I'm like, and who would I be asking for? And what is the process? It's like, because I already told everybody, I've told his teachers, I've told the whole like round table during our IEP meetings that I wanted him to be in basketball because he needed to do something to challenge himself, but it's something that he's good at. So I had already done my part. I went to the meetings, I sat there in person, I signed up so he could have an extra coordinator through the Office of People with Developmental Disabilities, so I could have an advocate on his side that could do the legwork for me. That's not how it works, because it's got government oversight. There's all kinds of boxes that have to be checked. There's all kinds of paperwork that's got to be filled out. They got to talk to him now like he's an adult because he's 18. I thought I was going to have somebody who could identify where my level was at with my income, and they could help me to find programs and walk with me to sign him up for the programs, right? But it's not that. It's that I have to look through all these programs that then they send my way, and a lot of them cost money, and then you have to get into this thing of where like you can get assigned money that you can use for these things. Dude, it's like every time you reach out for help, it's like you have to spend hours and days and weeks to get these appointments that people can't do anything for you because they got into the field to help the people in this community who need help, and they get caught up in the spider web of red tape just the same as we do. Okay. So it's like, it's so frustrating. So I wrote an email to my son's teacher expressing my displeasure with this whole thing, and that my intent is to disenroll him from public school and teach him myself, but if you homeschool your kids, it's not like you make an income from doing that. So you have got to be free enough financially in order to be able to afford it. Well, I am not. My main income comes through my 90% service connected disabilities from trying to lose weight because I broke my feet and I have arthritis in my neck and spine and all that stuff because I was starving and trying to lose weight because the Army's system of weight loss was not working for me. So I went to all kinds of specialists to ask what was going on. And all everybody kept saying to me was that you're just not trying hard enough. I'm like, okay, I don't know what else there is to do other than starve yourself and work out constantly. But it didn't work for me at that time. Since then, I realized that I have something called lipedema, which is fat that cannot be used through diet and exercise because it's contained within fibrotic tissue. So it can't be accessed by the body. So this is weight that I will never, ever, ever be able to lose without physically removing it. Now, okay. All right. So Zach adds a lot of like, and like words like that. And it's the same thing that I do when I use cuss words in my communication. It's just because there's a feeling going on and it's like punctuation. It's like, hey, attention, right? So he says, and then some people say it's pull, pull, but then other things say it's pump, pump, come on, Solo. I'm a soloist on a solo list. Live, never on a floppy disk. Inca, Inca, bottle of ink, paintings of rebellion drawn up by the thoughts I think. And he says, yeah, come on. The militant poet in once again, check it. Right. So that's what I have always been able to write poetry really easily, but I stopped doing it because nobody was encouraging me to do so. So when I think of the militant poet, I'm like, yo, I was in the military and like, I get that. I get what you're saying. It's set up like a deck of cards. They're sending us to early graves for all the diamonds. They'll use a pair of clubs to beat the spades, right? They'll use a pair of clubs to beat the spades. So that is a poker reference. But if you think about that, they'll use a pair of clubs to beat the spades. Think about all the words that you have ever learned in your lifetime. What do clubs represent? Okay. And I'm not talking about in a deck of cards. I'm talking about like billy clubs. And what race have you heard called spades? I would say it's the black race. Okay. So is that like a double meaning? For me, it is. With poetry, I paint the pictures that hit more like the murals that fit. Don't turn away, get in front of it. So he's saying like if I'm making you uncomfortable, and I'm not speaking for him, what it speaks to me is this, all right? Nobody gets the right to speak for anybody else, and we put so much emphasis on that. We have college classes dedicated to like what other people have said. It's like they said what they said. It doesn't you're not your feelings on what they said or what it sparks in you can never be wrong. So the fact that I like got a B on one of the papers that I wrote for philosophy. In the world, can you grade me on my own philosophy and tell me that I am not 100% accurate? Get the fuck out of here, right? Okay, don't turn away, get in front of it. Brother, did you forget your name? Did you lose it on the wall playing tic-tac-toe? Yo, check the diagonal. Three brothers gone. Come on. Doesn't that make it three in a row? And I had to text my mom because what that made me think about was well, first of all, it reminds me of deployment or like when I was what they call it a deployment, but I was stationed in South Korea. It's like a it's like a 1 year assignment. And it makes me think of like when you're doing these missions of like hurry up and wait, where you get everybody all prepped up to do some sort of thing, and then you have to wait for like what you're actually supposed to be doing. So I remember somebody once tipped an ambulance on into like a rice paddy because there's rice paddies all along the road. So the roads will kind of wash out. So they tipped one of our ambulances, but it was right next to the DMZ. It was like there's a chain link fence that separates North Korea from South Korea. And so we had to go and babysit this ambulance until we could get recovery to get it out of there. So we were like sitting in the back of the Humvee. We were already up there on just like a mission, a support mission, because we were medics for professional leadership development course, PLDC. And so we were there if people got hurt or something happened. They would come into our tent, lay on our cots, and we would have to be treating them for whatever the hell it was that we had to treat them for. It was kind of disgusting. But most of the time, we were just playing cards. And so that's what that reminds me of. We were sitting in the back of our ambulance, like babysitting this other ambulance, just smoking cigarettes, dipping, and playing cards. Okay. And when he says, like, did you forget your name? Did you lose it on the wall playing tic tac toe? Because we're just like out there playing games. And when they switched over from BDUs, right, the battle dress uniform of traditional military uniforms, to ACUs, which is all conditioned uniform or something like that, Those were those gray digitized patterned uniforms. And they were so poorly made. Clearly, they were made by like some sort of governmental mind that was trying to think about, like, oh, how do we make soldiers fit into urban combat zones? Well, urban combat zones overseas are not gray. They fit into like gravel parking lots, which they don't really have gravel parking lots in other areas. Everything is sort of like beige. And so when we were going over there with ACUs, I just couldn't stand it. When they switched us over, it happened when I was in basic training. They started talking about it. And my recruiter, he knew how much I couldn't wait to see my last name on a uniform, on that green BDU uniform. And then I remember sitting in this class that we were in, and one of the drill sergeants talking about how they were switching to the new uniforms. And I felt like my soul just dropped out in that moment. It makes me want to cry right now because I was starting to see people switch over into that uniform, and it was all Velcro, and it made me sick because the thought of just being able to like rip the name and the rank and all this thing off the uniform, all these things off the uniform, it turned us into like robots that they could just like replace the uniform for anybody. Like in my mind, when they showed us these uniforms, I was picturing like, oh, okay, so somebody just died, but we can take their jacket off and then just swap out name tapes. It was like we became replaceable in that moment. So it's like, did you forget your name? Because they can just tear it off. Did you forget the names of the friends who like passed around you? It's just, it reminds me of what I have seen. But it's like, doesn't it make it three in a row? That remind me of some brothers that they made a movie about called The Sullivans. I had to text my mom about it because I watched a movie about it, and she said that the ship that was dedicated to them is docked in Buffalo, which is where I'm at. There's a train going by. If you can't hear it, I can. It's too much. Hang on. Okay. That is poverty for you. I live in a trailer park, and my kids and I get to have the freedom of like trains rolling through our backyard all the time. Do you think if there's any protection between the tracks and my backyard? No, there is a brook, which is the runoff that goes through the sewers in this, like the sewer drains in the park, and it runs back there into the brook. And then like once we got a letter talking about all the things that were clogging up the sewer system because of things that they were finding like in the brook and this and that. It's like you're talking to the people who pay money here for the lot that they will never get to own. Like I will never get to own this land. I have put in way more money than house is worth, that's for sure. Now we got somebody mowing the lawn, and they do not like mow the lawns or tend the trees or anything. And the lot rent has gone from $635 a month when I first got the house in 2017, which I had to pay for it in a year in advance before I could actually move up here because I was still living in Louisiana and paying my mortgage there. But so now it's up to 780 a month. Okay. So do you think that my military disability like um reflects that same inflation rate? I don't think so. There's no way that it can keep up. There's no way that it can even keep up with the price of eggs, the inflation price of eggs, because they're practicing industrial farming and birds are getting sick. And now we're getting sick. We have no freedoms. We have no freedoms, right? If the reason why I smoke cigarettes so much is because it's stress relieving for me. And I find it to be, um, linked into cultures of the past, right? Or even of the present. Don't indigenous people like share the peace pipe? Like, w- don't people give tobacco back to the mother before they like smoke the tobacco? And I'm not saying that I'm some type of like, uh, that I smoke cigarettes and that makes me sacred. I'm saying like that's just how I choose to consume the earth in a way that is beneficial to me. I know everybody looks at smoking as such like a health detriment. It's like it's not for me, not for me. Okay, I promise you, it's not. And I buy it from the native lands around here because we've got a lot of tribal lands. And when I first moved up here, I knew that it was going to be impossible for me to afford cigarettes, like because I smoked Marlboros, and in New York they were way more expensive than Louisiana. And I did not want to take advantage of the cheap cigarettes that were on the native lands because I thought that that was like, um, that was a disrespectful way to honor indigenous people. And then I thought about it and I was like, no, silly girl, because I had quit smoking for 2 years. And then I thought about it and I was like, dude, if I'm going to put my money towards my addiction, I might as well give it to the native people, okay? Because a carton of cigarettes, I just went and bought them yesterday. They originally were like 27.50. Right now they have them dropped down to 24.50. Okay? You can't even buy 2 packs of regular like brand name cigarettes for that much anymore. That is like so they got us addicted to a thing that they were promoting for our health. My thank goodness, Mr. Betts, my fifth grade science teacher, used to play the radio commercials or about like how cigarettes were good for you, especially when they came out with menthol cigarettes. It was a doctor promoting them and saying that menthol was better for your lungs. So they got people addicted to it. They sold you on it. And then they make you feel like then they have dare officers come into school. Like when I was a kid, my dad used to smoke cigarettes. Then they'd have dare officers come in and talk about all the detrimental side effects of smoking and like how you should try to convince your parents to quit smoking and this and that. I'm like, nah, I'm telling my dad what to do because he was part of the generation that it was sold to, right? They were convinced of it. Everybody's families would smoke in the houses. Like, go fuck yourself, man. You take them off the market if you don't want them to be available to people. Don't just charge more and more and more so the people who are addicted to it can't like they find solace in it. Okay. Okay. All right. So when Zach says, doesn't that make it 3 in a row? All right. Yo, check the diagonal. Three brothers going, come on. Doesn't it make that 3 in a row? So I'm thinking about the Sullivans, right? When he says that. Now I don't know who he was referring to, but that is what it sparked in me. Now the Sullivan brothers were from Waterloo, Iowa. That's what my mom sent me because I knew that she had the background information on that because she's seen the movie too. And but they have, I swear that the ship's name is O'Sullivan, but I could be wrong. But I think they have it docked in the naval park here or something. So maybe someday I can take you on a tour there and just record it. Okay. So sorry for being so shifty, but I don't care how long this video is. I don't care if it makes YouTube happy for the length of my videos, because you should be thanking me for giving you some occupied time that breaks you away from what everybody else is projecting at you, what everybody else is trying to sell you on. Okay. It's like, don't you see how things change so quickly? Healthcare workers were the angels during COVID. Then, delivery drivers were the angels during COVID, but if they didn't get a vaccine, then they were the devils. Okay. I wouldn't get a vaccine, right? So, and I wouldn't let my kids get a vaccine. So there's just so much, there's just so much, there's just so much. Okay. Pay attention. All right. If this is boring to you, then go fucking drink from the cup of lies and shadows that they are serving you with out there. All right. So this next line is the one thing that unlocked something in me, that created a change in me that I had heard and sang along to previously, maybe if I had noticed it, but this time I noticed it for sure. And he kind of whispers, anger is a gift. Okay. The voice of your heart whispers. And then the voices of all the people around you in your mind, they will yell over top of that quiet whisper. But the people who stay quiet are the most important ones to listen to because they know that their message is important. They don't have to strain their vocal cords to get out the most important words. Though Zach will yell some shit at you that you need to listen, and he will yell it multiple times. And he'll start out quiet and then he'll start yelling it. But he says, anger is a gift. And he says it right at 144 in the song. And that to me is an important number because the 144,000, I was like, it came into my knowledge and awareness back about 18 years ago. And I've seen that number everywhere. And they say that there's 144,000 chosen to be the ones who ascend like to heaven. The reason why I heard more about this was because I have friends who are Jehovah's Witnesses, and I just went to their sort of like sacred meeting about the ransom. The ransom is like the exchange of Jesus's life for it's more than I can speak upon from my own inner knowledge. So I am going to go through and read the Bible instead of taking anybody else's cherry picked interpretation of it. We're going to read through it, and I am going to use my own critical thinking and experience to guide us through it word by word. Okay. I don't care what version it is because none of them are like in Aramaic. And I think that was probably the original word. So anyway, um, so he says anger is a gift. And I'm like, oh, damn. It's like there's a lot of people who act out in anger because it's like the animal that's being triggered within them. But you can't stop there and let all of your energy go out in anger. It's anger is a gift because it reminds you that you have a powerful animal inside, but you also have a reasoning brain as a human. And you have to use that animal to identify where you are not free, where you are caged. You are a wild animal inside of a cage of cells, correct? What do they call prison cell, right? But what is your body made up of? Is it not the same word? That's why when people talk about witches as casting spells. What is it called when you first learn language? Aren't the teachers teaching you spelling? Isn't that the same thing that they say that witches do? Like they put a spell on you? The only person who can put a spell on you is somebody who learns how to use created language to form an intention and move that intention out from their minds and into the like world of the living in order to create manipulation. That is what every word that is written down is doing. They are casting spells on you through spelling. Okay. So when you learn to do wordplay, I'm going to introduce you to a channel called Chosen144. Um, where this guy is so good at wordplay. So geez, there's just so many people that I am inspired by because they're not numbing my brain. My brain gets so bored. So I can't go out and have conversations with people in the regular world because they're all fucking walking zombies. They're just repeating what they're told. They are brainless zombies. You are too. I am too. Okay. So we have to explore these things. All right. Anger is a gift. Come on. Check that. Come on. Yeah. Brother, did you forget your name? Did you lose it on the wall playing tic-tac-toe? Yo, check the diagonal. 3 million gone. Come on. Because they're counting backwards to zero. Environment. The environment exceeding on the level of our unconsciousness. For example, what does the billboard say? Come and play. Come and play. Forget about the movement. And then again, he says anger is a gift. And he says that at 3:41 in the song, 3 minutes and 41 seconds. And again, I had said like yesterday in the videos that 143 means I love you. So any combination of that means the same thing. And so he said it at 144. That is a very significant number to me. It's even like on my license plate. I did not choose that. I was assigned it. Okay. And then he says anger is a gift again at 3:41, which is a way of saying I love you, right? That's how like God speaks to me to say I love you whenever I see that number. Okay. And that's where I feel that I get the support from within my heart, where my creator is inside of my cells, right? I'll be in prison with God over being imprisoned in a fucking governmental organization. Yeah. Oh, bring that shit in. Oh, hey. And then he goes, freedom. Yeah. Freedom. Yeah, right. Freedom. Yeah. Freedom. Yeah. Freedom. Yeah, right. Freedom. Yeah, right. Okay. And so it's like he is screaming it. If it, some people get into a band because they are good at screaming words, right? And I always think that's funny, but it's like if you are good at feeling the words that you speak and you speak words that make you, that's the thing is like Zach is he wasn't programmed to do this. He wasn't programmed to it's like country music. There's like a recipe for country music. And that's why when great musicians put out their original work and then they just want to show you that they can blast through all genres, then they go to country music because that's like the last on the list. It's like the least important music. I'm sorry for all of you people who like country music, but you need to think about what those words look like in real life, country music words. And like what how deep are they, right? Or how deeply are people actually living through those lyrics, right? So Beyonce, she just took the country like award just to show that she could. She's not fucking Illuminati. Everybody else said that the things that they were doing were the sign of the Illuminati. So they were just playing off of your words. Don't you understand? These people are smarter than you. They realize that you were giving them free advertisement, okay? So so the people who I have just sort of like accidentally been consumed by as my favorite musicians in this world, my favorite poets, like Emily Dickinson. She is my favorite poet, Edgar Allan Poe. He is, he's got like Poe, if you add a T to that, it's poet, right? Oh my gosh, there's just and because I love crows and the poem The Raven. We had to memorize the poem, I think, for like eighth grade English class. And so I memorized The Raven, and it's in my subconscious somewhere. I need to like read it on the channel. So I am just going to expose you because I believe that I have been made a valuable human by God, by the instructions that He gave me in my heart, because I cannot fucking bow down to anybody. It feels like a sin. Okay. So I don't care if I have to commit crimes against the societal rules. The people in government are already committing those fucking crimes. Okay. If they're hypocritic, that like if they're hypocrites, look at the dude who is like I don't know, what is he, the governor of California, who was like out seen having dinner with people. Like this happened all over the country and all over the world. Powerful people were seen having like wine and cheese parties in England when they were telling everybody else that you had to stay indoors masked up. Fucking driving, they still do it, driving around in their cars with masks on, running down the street with a mask on. You're telling me that a piece of cloth, as smart as we are now, we think that we are so much smarter than people of ancient history? Oh my gosh. I am going to have to show you. um I am considered an INFJ based on personality tests, which whatever, that's based on a subjective construct of who you think you are, which I think probably INFJs are the most accurate self-aware people. So the ones who fall under INFJ, they're probably like most accurately identifying themselves, right? If somebody did an objective perspective of that same personality test, it would probably link up quite similarly. But INFJs are really good at connecting all these patterns that they see in multiple different areas and like siphoning them down through this funnel of understanding so that you can like overstand the patterns that are showing up and the hypocrisy that shows up all over the place. So I am going to take you through the chambers of the fucking knowledge that I have gained through music, through learning about ancient cultures, through religions, through learning other languages. And I'm just going to keep going. But right now I am reading from the Bible, and I am teaching from the stories of Zach de la Rocha's music. Okay, that name, it's Zacharias Manuel de la Rocha, and that is his name, that is born name, and it means Zacharias of the rock. Okay, it's not roach. All right, so don't think that that's la cucaracha, right? You know that song. All right, this dude, that's the foundation of which I want to build. This is like, I think if because I talk to my kids about him all the time, and I'm just saying that like that is the only man that I want to hear speak to me for the rest of my life. I can never get bored with all the insight that he has from within him. And so I think like people would translate that into like, so you want to like date him or you want to be married to him? Like, yo, that's such a low level of what we understand love to be. It's like I have an agape love for that man because he's the only man that I would feel secure in leading me. He's the only man that I feel like is truly out there to protect us. It just started raining. Okay. It just started raining because I feel like I'm raining truth on you. And I feel like that man has rained truth. Do you know? Okay, I have to say this. Rage Against the Machine formed in 1991. Zach was born in 1970. So what was he, 21 at that time? Or I'm sorry. Yeah, he was 21 at that time. Who were you when you were 21? What were you doing? First of all, and like how much clout did you carry with adults who could actually make a change in the world? Like if you were 21 and they were like 40-year-olds, like I'm 42 right now, okay? Could you speak to a 42-year-old at 21 years old and influence them to change the world based on the power and the money that they had? Probably fucking not. Do you have a child who's 21? What do you think about 21-year-olds? Since I'm smart enough to actually like listen, and my kids are all teenagers, almost, one's 12. um I let them influence me because the only way to learn from our past is to realize that the young people are the ones who have the energy and the ability to change things with that energy and with that knowledge because they haven't been overly programmed yet, but they don't have the power. Okay. So they have to be linked up with people of power in order to not make the mistakes of our past. Okay. So Zach, he was a straight edge. Do you even know what that means? The straight edge movement was like no drugs, no, like they were just anti anything that could destroy the system and cloud their mind. All right. He was also a vegetarian. How many of you at 21 years old, if you were like I don't know, like a Mexican American kid growing up in like white suburbs because your parents split and your mom was white. It's just, you have no idea what he was going through if you're only listening to the music. All you think is that Zach was a rowdy rebel who caused trouble. That's not what he was doing. You need to listen to him play traditional, oh man, I can't remember what the term is called, but traditional like Mexican music. And I have a video that like he talks about it and he sings it. And so I'm gonna link these videos, okay? The song Freedom, and I'm going to link the other video if I can. But I just had to get this all out today, and it doesn't matter how long it takes because this is a story. I'm telling you a story from my own insight and experience and things that are triggered within me from the things in my surroundings. You have to know these things. And so my neighbor is cutting the grass. And what I was trying to say is that they will charge us $50 here if we don't have our grass cut, but they will not cut it for us. But we are paying for our lot rent. They won't manage the trees. They won't like fix any of like half of my ventilation is ripped out because animals ripped it out because they keep ripping off the vents to my skirting on my trailer, and they get in there and they're trying to find heat, so they will rip down the ventilation. And then HEAP, which is a government program that's supposed to be able to help us with these things, they came in to do a fall tune-up on my furnace, and they like, first of all, they can't like replace the ventilation or whatever, but the tech that came in who was hired by HEAP from another like civilian company, um he determined that my furnace was running too hot, so he left it in pieces. And then I never got any call back from HEAP, so I called back the company who the tech came from, and they were like, we can't do anything to help you with that, you have to get a hold of HEAP. So I'm calling HEAP, and they can't like, they don't have a number that you can just get straight through to. You can't leave a voicemail. They can't put you on a waiting list. It just says call back at another time. We're experiencing a high call volume. So how many hours do you think that I have to put in to keep calling them and try to get a hold of somebody? It's like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Talk about these hypocritical systems. It's like, now I can't afford to pay my bills because my electricity and my heat, which are not covered by the park, they do cover garbage and water. That's it. Okay. Um, but I have to like, I'm just telling you, they call it spending time for a reason. All the time that I have to invest in myself, even though I'm a single mom, in trying to like get things from the governmental systems who keep saying like, hey, HEAP is open now. Try to get your bro, it's just too hard. And what I am going to do is I will on what do you call it? On speakerphone. I will record these things on speakerphone of my attempts to right the wrongs that the government has like fucked me over in. Okay. So, and not just the government, but like PayPal and all these other things. Okay. So I love you. Listen, listen, listen to the things in your surroundings and try to identify who's a hypocrite and where the hypocrite is within you because you're following what you were programmed to be followed. You need to start asking yourself why, and you need to start asking the people who are telling you the rules why. Okay. All right. I love you. Do something. Make a stand. Oh, the one last thing that I was trying to tell you about my son getting into this basketball program was that I emailed his teacher about my frustration about it because I had already put my time in to tell the authorities that be and to tell my son's IEP team who's supposed to be looking out for him and what's best for him and what I want for him. They dropped the fucking ball. I don't know who did. I don't know where we were supposed to get the information of when unified basketball took place, but there was no email about it. There was no like document that was brought home from my son, whether or not he was like hiding it from me. It's like, you shouldn't trust a child with Down syndrome to convey the proper information. Okay. That's why I am there present at these meetings. That's why there's a whole board of people present at these meetings. That's why they have to do all these hours and hours and hours of IEP documentation, is so we can talk about what is important for the child's progress in this world to be a good functioning adult with special needs. Okay. So they can still contribute to the world and not just be locked up in a fucking mental ward like they used to be since like as recent as the 1980s. Okay. I would never let somebody take my child. That's why I won't let my children join the military, even though one of them wanted to. They don't anymore. So, anyway, I got a call back from the school. Well, I had it paused, and it was from the athletic department, and they told me that we heard that we wanted to get Tyler in to unified basketball. And, they were saying, so they opened it back up on the parent portal or something like that. So you have to remember, you have to think when you're on the phone and you're on the phone with somebody who can actually do some help for you to cut down the time that you have to invest. So I asked the woman, can you please send me a link to the email address that I check? So I gave her my email address and because she said yes. So now I have the link at easy access and I don't mind putting in that investment because I already know that I got approval on it. I was not going to go through, call the athletic department, try to find the right person, and then possibly find out that they said no, 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 no. I took my son in for an annual appointment to make sure that he had an updated physical at the school, and because his birthday was in February. So I set that up to make sure that it wouldn't get in the way for basketball because I knew he was going to need one. I did the legwork. I did it. Okay. So I'm just telling you, you need to get right. You need to get right and figure these things out. Okay. All right. Sorry. I just had to check the date because I realized I might have missed my other son's doctor's appointment. But yeah, it just started raining again. It stopped and then it came back. So maybe the lawn mowing is done. So I can get back to reading. I'm going to be reading Job. And then after I finish the book of Job, I want to go to Revelations because I do think that Jehovah's Witnesses believe that the end times are coming because I went to their most recent like service. It's kind of like their Easter service. And what they were talking about is the 144,000 chosen people that they believe. That sounds like a small number for all the people that who would be Jehovah's Witnesses. You would assume that the number is much larger. So you would assume that they can't all assume that they are the chosen people. And it's because they know that not everybody is chosen to ascend to heaven, but they are chosen that if they follow the way of Jehovah, that they will be chosen to stay on the earth as it was tended by God, as it was in the Garden of Eden in pure perfection. Okay. So I don't think that they know what it actually looks like to possibly be one of the 144,000 chosen people. It's going to be the people who accept everybody and who move in the purpose of what, like Jehovah, God, Yahweh, whatever you want to call this all-powerful creator. We say creator as if it's like a person, but it's an energy. It's not something that we can understand with our silly little human brains. When you look at your dogs and cats and animals, don't you think they're so stupid because they got such a tiny little brain? Don't you freaking think that there's something higher than us that thinks the same thing and it's trying to like teach us? Don't we try to train our animals to speak our language? Okay, these signs and synchronicities, they're trying to train you so that you can speak a common language. So there's understanding between different different living things, right? Okay. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transmuted. Okay. I love you. Have a great day. Bye.